Hello. Is the sound okay? Can somebody somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me if the sound quality is okay? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me if the sound quality is okay? Double sounds. Okay. Now it's better? Now it's better? Ah, okay. Now better. Okay. Well, today I would like to talk a bit about my experiences with the Cyclo Thread Rolling Machine. So I've been using it now and again for about 2 years, and I must say it meets my expectations. It costs about 120 euros, and that's without the rolling heads. So you have to acquire these thread rolling heads separately. So this machine costs 150 euros, and then you have to acquire the rolling heads separately for about 70 euros each, which is quite expensive. So this machine will therefore only be cost effective for a professional. There are 3 rolling heads available: a 12G, 13G and a 14G rolling head, respectively for 12G, 13G and 14G spokes. As you will probably know, the G in 12G spokes indicates the thickness of the spoke. So 12G is thicker than a 13G, which is thicker than a 14G. Cargo bikes typically use 12G or 13G spokes. City bikes typically use 13G or 14G spokes, and race bikes and MTBs use 14G spokes. When I bought this machine, I bought with it a 13G rolling head and a 14G rolling head, because I only rarely work with 12G spokes, so I didn't really need the 12G rolling head. You can mount the machine to the bench top via the 3 mounting holes, but I wouldn't recommend this because it's typically a tool that you use only now and then. And if I were to mount it to the bench top, it would be in the way. It would not be convenient. So it's much more convenient to use it in a bench vise like this and store it away after use. The tool, the machine, is not meant to roll many threads, because it's quite time consuming to roll a thread to a spoke. So I only use it to make 4 or 5 new spokes at most. I typically use it when I'm building a wheel and I'm 1 or 2 spokes short. And I want to finish the wheel I'm working on there and then. Either I want to finish it or I have to finish it because the customer is waiting for it. So, for example, I'm working on a city bike and I need a 13G spoke of 268 millimeters. Then I'll take the machine, I will put it in the bench vise. Then I'm going to choose which rolling head I need. So in this case a 13G spoke, so I need a 13G rolling head. It's indicated on the rolling head, so here I have the 13G head, and I will install it here to the shaft. Like this. And there's a screw there. There's a screw to attach the rolling head to the shaft. So I will fasten it like this. So I need a 13G spoke of 268 millimeters. Then I will take a spoke of 300 millimeters and I will cut it to the length I need, in this case 268 millimeters. So here 68. I will first mark this point. 268 here. So I will cut the spoke. So now I have the spoke of the right length, but of course I need to I don't have the thread, so I can't use the spoke yet. So then I thread the spoke here through an opening here. I stick the spoke here through the hole and push it to here, about here, and then I tighten the handle nut. This is the handle nut. I tighten it to make sure that the spoke can't move. Then I move the rolling head in the direction of the spoke. And making sure that the spoke is exactly in the middle of the rolling head. There's a screw here that you can adjust the height of the spoke. So the spoke has to be in the middle of the rolling head. But if it's not in the center, you can adjust it by unscrewing this bolt and then lower or heighten it. Okay, so this is now the spoke is centered in the rolling head. And now I will turn this screw here. This will reduce the opening between the rollers. Here are three rollers. I will reduce the opening so that the rollers touch the spoke. So I need two of these. One to hold this one in place, and one to turn here. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the handle clockwise 20 times. I see the spoke, so the handle is not. Then I turn back. I forgot to mention something, that you have to apply some special oil, cutting oil, I think it's called in English. So you have to apply this between the rollers. Let's do it again. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the adjustment nut a quarter of a turn. Like this. And I will again turn the handle to about 20 times. to repeat this. So you can see there's already quite a nice thread on the spoke. So now I'm going to turn the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn. Now I'm going to do it once more. Last time you need to repeat this procedure about 4 times, 4 or 5 times. Okay, so now we have a nice thread on the spoke. Let me check with the nipple. This is a perfect spoke with a perfect thread. So, for new viewers, I will start over. If you have questions, you can ask them in the chat. So today I will be talking a bit about my experiences with the Cyclo Thread Rolling Machine. I have been using it now for about 2 years, and it meets my expectations. It costs about 150 euros, but this is without the rolling heads. These need to be acquired separately, and they cost about 70 euros each. So this is quite an investment, and this machine will therefore only be cost effective for professionals. There are 3 rolling heads available: a 12G, a 13G and a 14G rolling head, respectively for 12G, 13G and 14G spokes. The G in 12G or 13G indicates the thickness of the spoke. So a 12G spoke is thicker than a 13G spoke, and a 13G spoke is thicker than a 14G spoke. Cargo bikes typically have 12 or 13G spokes. City bikes typically have 13 or 14G spokes, and race bikes and MTBs use 14G spokes. You can mount this tool to a bench top via the 3 mounting holes here, but I wouldn't recommend this, as it's typically a tool that you use only now and then, and it would be very much in the way if I were to mount it here to the bench top. It's much more convenient to use it and then store it away after use. The tool is not meant to roll many threads because it's quite time consuming, so I use it only to make 4 or 5 new spokes at most. I typically use it when I'm building a wheel and I'm only 1 or 2 spokes short, and or I have to finish the wheel there and then. So, for example, I'm working on a city bike wheel, and I'm 1 spoke short, 1 spoke of 268 millimeters, for example. Then I will take the machine. I will put it in the vise. And I will choose the right rolling head. In this case, I need to make a new 13G spoke, so I will install the 13G rolling head. Rolling head. There's a screw in the rolling head that I will fasten to make sure that the rolling head stays in place. Then I take a spoke of 300 millimeters. I always have some spokes of 300 millimeters in stock, so that I will always have a spoke of the right length to shorten it to whatever length I need. So I need a spoke of 268 millimeters. I will mark it at 268 millimeters. Then I will cut it there. So now I have a spoke of 268 millimeters, but I need, of course, to make a thread onto the spoke. Then I take the spoke and thread it here through an opening, like this. I will fasten the handle nut. I will tighten the handle nut to make sure that the spoke can't move. Then I will move the rolling head towards the spoke until it is about halfway of the rolling head. So the opening in the rolling head needs to be large enough to be able to get the spoke about halfway of the rollers. So there are 3 rollers in the rolling head, and the spoke needs to extend about halfway. halfway of the rollers. If you can do that, you have to loosen this screw. If you loosen this screw, the opening will get larger. Okay, then you have to apply some oil, some cutting oil to the rollers, like this. Then you're going to tighten the adjustment screw here to make the opening a bit narrower until the rollers touch the spoke. So do it like this. And now I'm going to turn the handle clockwise about 20 times. I'm going to wind back. Sometimes you have to do this otherwise it might stick into between the rollers. Okay. Now I'm going to tighten the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn. Like this. And I'm going to turn the handle again about 20 times. It not always work flawlessly, as in this case. Sometimes it sticks to it. Let me take another spoke. There's something wrong with that spoke. So I'll take a spoke of 300 millimeters and cut it to the length that I need, 268. So now I have a spoke of the right length, and I have to roll the thread on it. I thread the spoke here through the opening and tighten the handle nut to make sure the spoke can't move. Then I will bring the rollers to the spoke. Making sure that the spoke can extend about halfway of the rollers, and then I will turn the handle about 20 times to make the first thread. Now I will wind the handle back and will turn the adjustment screw a quarter of a turn . This. So again 20 times, I wind back and I will tighten the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn, and you need to repeat this about 4 times. So this is the third time. I went back. Now we'll tighten the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn. Now so now we have I don't know if you can see it well, but a nice thread on the spoke. I will check it by screwing a nip on it, and this is a perfect new spoke of the right length. So what I was telling, today I'm talking a bit about my experiences with the Cyclo Thread Rolling Machine. So the Cyclo Thread Rolling Machine. I have been using it now for almost 2 years, and it meets my expectations. It costs about 150 euros, and that's without the spoke rolling heads. These need to be acquired separately and cost about 70 euros each. So this is quite an investment, and this machine will therefore only be cost effective for professionals. There are 3 rolling heads available, a 12G, 13G and a 14G head for respectively 12G, 13G and 14G spokes. As you probably know, a 12G spoke, the G in 12G indicates the thickness of the spoke, so 12G is thicker than 13G and 14G is less thick than a 13G spoke. Cargo bikes typically use 12G spokes or 13G spokes. City bikes use typically 13G or 14G spokes, and race bikes and MTBs use 14G spokes. I only bought a 13G and 14G rolling head because I rarely work with 12G spokes, so I wouldn't need a 12G rolling head. You can mount this tool to a bench top via the 3 mounting holes here, but I wouldn't recommend this because it's typically a tool that you only use now and then, and if I were to mount it somewhere here on the bench top, it would be very much in the way. So it's much more convenient to use the machine and then store it away. The tool is not meant to be used for rolling many threads. I use it to make 4 or 5 new spokes at most, because it's quite time consuming. If you were to if you have to make 10 new spokes, then it's too much work with this machine. I typically use it when I'm 1 or 2 spokes short, and I need to finish the wheel I'm working on. So, for example, I'm working on a city bike and I'm short of 1 spoke of let's say 250 millimeters. So then I take the machine, I put it in the vise, and I will put in the 13G rolling head. 13G is written here. This is the 14G, this is the 13G rolling head. So I will install it here on the shaft. I will tighten the nut. Then I'll take a longer spoke. This is a spoke of 300 millimeters, and I will cut it to the length that I need. So in this case 250, let's say. I will mark it at 250. I will get it there. So now I have a spoke of 250 millimeters, but I have to roll the thread on it, of course. So I will stick it here through the opening, making sure that the spoke and the rolling head are on the same level. If they aren't on the same level, you can adjust here with this screw here on the back. You can adjust the height of the spoke, but it's important that the spoke and the rolling head are on the same level. So now I'm going to move the rolling head to the spoke, and I have to, the spoke has to come halfway of the rollers. There are 3 rollers on the rolling head, and the spoke needs to come halfway. If you can't do this, you have to loosen this screw, and in that way the opening will become larger, so you can stick the spoke further between the rollers. Now I'm going to turn the handle 20 times to make the first thread. So about 20 times, because 20 times is, the thread is approximately 20 times. Then I will unwind. I will wind back. You can see here that there's already a nice thread, but the thread needs to be deeper, so I'm going to tighten this adjustment nut about a quarter of a turn, and I'm going to I forgot to apply some cutting oil. Put some cutting oil on the rollers. Now again 20 times. Wind back. And again tighten the adjustment nut about a quarter of a turn. Again 20 times. Wind back. And then tighten the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn, and repeat this about 4 times. Okay, now last time. Now you can see there's a nice thread on the spoke. Check it with a nipple, making sure that the thread is nice. Okay. So what I was telling the spectators, and what I will now tell for last time for the new spectators, you can ask questions in the chat if you want. If you liked the stream, press the subscribe and like button. So I'm talking a bit about my experiences with the Cyclo Thread Rolling Machine. I've been using it now for about 2 years, and I'm quite satisfied with it. It meets my expectations. It costs about 150 euros, and that is without the rolling heads I have here. These need to be acquired separately and cost about 70 euro each. So together it costs about 220 euros, which is quite an investment, and probably it's only cost effective for professionals. There are 3 rolling heads available, 12G, 12G, 13G and 14G rolling head. The G indicates the thickness of the spoke, so 12G is thicker than 13G and 13G is thicker than 14G. 12G spokes typically are used in cargo bikes or some city bikes. City bikes usually have 13G or 14G spokes, and road bikes and MTBs typically use 14G spokes. I only bought these 2 rolling heads, a 13G and a 14G rolling head, because I rarely work with 12G spokes. You can mount this tool on the bench top. There are 3 holes here to mount the to the bench top, but I wouldn't recommend it because it would be very much in the way if I were to mount it here. So what is much more convenient is to put it to a bench rise and store it away after use. The tool is not meant to be used to make many new spokes, because it's quite time consuming, and if you were to make 10 new spokes, it would be much too time consuming. So what I typically do is I need 1 or 2 spokes because I have to finish a wheel, and then I will make the new spoke, 2 or 3 spokes at maximum. So for example, I'm working on a city bike wheel, and I'm short of 1 spoke of, let's say, 260 millimeters. Then I take the machine, put it in the vise, and install the right rolling heads. So I need a new spoke of 260 millimeters of 13G. So I'll install the 13G rolling head onto the shaft. There's a screw on the rolling head to tighten it to the shaft, like this. Then I take a spoke of 300 millimeters and I will cut it to the length that I need. So in this case 250 millimeters. I will mark I will measure the spoke and make a mark at 250 millimeters, like this. Cut it here. So now I have to roll a thread on the spoke. So I begin by sticking the spoke here under the handle nut. I will tighten the handle nut to make sure the spoke can't move. Then I move the rolling head towards the spoke, making sure the spoke is exactly in the middle of the rolling head. You can adjust the height of the spoke to make sure that the spoke and the rolling head are exactly on the same level. So make sure the spoke is in the center of the rollers. The rolling head has 3 rollers, so the spoke has to be nicely in the middle. The spoke needs to be in the center, not only in the center, but about halfway through the rolling head. If you can't do that, you have to loosen this nut. If you loosen this nut, the opening becomes larger and you can stick the spoke further between the rollers. So if the spoke is halfway the rollers, that's fine. Then you turn the handle 20 times clockwise to make the first thread. I forgot to tell that you have to apply some cutting oil to the rollers. Then I wind back. And I will turn the adjustment screw a quarter of a turn to make the rollers, to make the opening a bit less large and to make the thread a bit more, a bit deeper. Now I'm going to turn the handle again 20 times. Unwind. And now I'm going to tighten the adjustment nut another quarter of a turn, and I repeat this about 4 times. So there's now a nice thread on the spoke, and I will check with the nipple if everything is fine. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you have liked it, please press the subscribe and the like button, and I hope to see you at the next live stream. Thank you.